Hey. Well, I'm a little late today. I didn't set my alarms because I turned them off the other day and I didn't turn them back on. And the last time I looked at the clock, it was 4:30 and then it was 6. I apologize. Anyway, I've been looking at the news. I've been trying to rack my brain to make money, trying to watch. I've been watching so much on YouTube, trying to figure out how to do this thing. But yeah, it looks like Putin doesn't want to have a trilateral or a bilateral meeting with Ukraine. Okay, I'm gonna share. It's just really I'm just really sad. I mean, what was all I mean, everybody went to such effort to I'm not here anywhere. Everybody went to such effort to get together in Alaska and at the White House on Monday. I mean, people flew from all over the world to be there, and nothing has come of it, and people are still dying. It's very discouraging to me. It's very sad for me. What a waste of time and effort, money. It really misled everyone, the world, not just the American people. But here it is. Trump's met with Putin and Zelensky. What's next for Russia-Ukraine peace talks? It says NATO defense officials hold virtual meeting to discuss security guarantees for Ukraine. I mean, hurry it up. You don't just hurry it up. I know it's probably Putin that's stalling everything. I know President Zelensky's all ready to go. Trump is eager for, his nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize. He doesn't care about anything but that. It's just Putin. He's like, no. And, I've asked Putin to put us, I know he's playing a role. He's trying to mimic the US. He's trying to mimic my, which in turn mimics my family. My family set up the pattern that everybody follows. That's what's going on here. Even the SGI organization behaves like my family towards me. And that extends to our government, the US government. And Putin is role playing now. It extends to the world. Yeah. If only people knew that what I'm saying is real. I mean, if only people knew this is for real, what I'm talking about. I'm not just, flattering myself here. I'm not just imagining this. This is for real. Okay. I know it's really hard for people to understand why Claire, honestly, I don't know why me, but I am the one that went through all that I did. So, and nobody else has, and nobody else would have survived to be able to talk to you right here, right now, like I am. That's all I can tell you. I'm not trying to make myself any more special than anybody else. I mean, look at all that I'm going through. I'm going through more than anybody else. I'm certainly not being treated in any kind of special way other than, okay, maybe I'm being specially tortured. Maybe I'm getting more torture than anybody. I get special treatment. Yeah, but it's not the kind you would think of when you hear the term special treatment. I'm getting the bad kind. I'm being singled out and being put through more than anybody else. And that's because I have a mission that is bigger than anyone else's. With a big mission comes a whole lot of training. At least that's the way it is in Vega. And I know here on Earth, we don't really understand that. We just think, oh, yeah, you're born to a certain family and you get a certain pass in life. And, everything's supposed to be easy for you if you're well connected, if you're, you know, if you are a person of high influence, you know, that's what we think here on Earth. And it's really kind of a shallow understanding of what I mean. That's not a leader, Yeah, maybe somebody's connected, born into a family who's well connected, but that doesn't make a person a leader. Yeah, it certainly gives them opportunities. Someone like me has not been given in adulthood. I certainly had all the opportunities of a lifetime as a child, but I know in Vega, they felt really bad about what I was going through here on Earth, and they kinda spoiled me, I guess it was just an experiment to see if they could spoil me. Of course, you can spoil any child, it doesn't matter what that child's karma is. If you s if you can spoil a child, any child. I was spoiled. I was spoiled, and I'm still suffering the consequences of that little girl I was being so spoiled. They were just trying to make it up to me because I was a child going through just horrible things. And yeah, I understand, having, Vega. I'm talking about the civilization known as Vega inside the sun. Yes. And another term that they're known by is heaven. Yeah, it's an actual location in the sun. It's not a spiritual realm as we think of it here on earth. There is no spirit that doesn't have a body. There's no such thing as a homeless spirit, because the body is like a home for the spirit. There's no such thing as a homeless spirit. There may be homeless people on earth, which is a travesty, but there is no such thing as a homeless spirit. Even if they might travel, a spirit might travel away from its body for a little while, but they have a body to return back to. They always do. Okay, well, let's read this article. Yeah, Trump's met with Putin and Zelensky. What's next for Russia-Ukraine peace talks? Yeah, we want to know. As the dust settles from President Donald Trump's recent rapid fire diplomacy on the Russian-Ukraine war, Friday meeting with Putin, Monday meeting with Zelensky and all of Europe's, major European leaders. Attention turns to what's next in peace negotiations, which really seems stalled at this point. Trump sounded positive on Monday as he met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders at the White House just 2 days after his summit with Russia's Vladimir Putin in Alaska. I think President Putin will make peace. I think President Zelensky will make peace. We'll see if they can get along, Trump said. The president committed to helping European partners provide security guarantees for Ukraine and said he was beginning to arrange a bilateral meeting between Zelensky and Putin. But Russia has poured cold water on some of those highlights. Moscow has not confirmed that Putin will sit down with Zelensky and is demanding to be part of any discussion on security guarantees. Okay. Here are some key questions moving forward. Will there actually be a Putin-Zelensky summit or a trilateral meeting? President Trump first pushed for a trilateral meeting between Putin, Zelensky, and himself before shifting to proposing a bilateral meeting between Zelensky and Putin. When asked about the change on Tuesday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told ABC News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott that a meeting between Zelensky and Putin would need to happen ahead of any possible trilateral meeting because of areas of disagreement, quote unquote, between the two countries. Okay, well, I would think, my natural first reaction is, I would think that Putin would want a trilateral meeting ahead of the bilateral meeting if there are areas of disagreement like this. I don't know, because maybe Trump can referee or something. Not that he's any kind of neutral party. Levitt also said that Putin promised, quote unquote, to meet with Zelensky in the coming weeks, but the Kremlin hasn't confirmed that. In the coming weeks, I mean, people are dying, and it's just, we'll get around to it one day soon. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov instead has seemed to only downplay prospects of a summit between the two leaders in the near future. So nothing near future. Okay. We are ready for any format. Now, this is Russia's foreign minister. We are ready for any format. Lavrov said at a news conference in Moscow on Wednesday. That's today. But when it comes to high-level meetings, it is necessary to prepare them in the most thorough way at all previous stages, so that the summits do not lead to a worsening of the situation, but rather mark the end of the negotiations that we are ready to continue. Okay. According to Lavrov, Putin proposed that negotiations with Ukraine not just be continued, but also a higher level of delegations be considered in a phone call with Trump. Okay. What does that mean? The White House has asked on Tuesday, the White House was asked on Tuesday, that was yesterday, where a possible meeting between Putin and Zelensky would take place, and specifically whether Budapest, Hungary, okay, so Budapest is in Hungary, was an option, as has been reported. Levitt said they would provide details as soon as we can, quote unquote. As for a trilateral meeting, Levitt said it would happen, if necessary, following direct talks between Putin and Zelensky. Trump, during an interview on Fox and Friends on Tuesday, left open the possibility that Putin may not want to make a deal. Yeah, just cover your bases, right? In case you're wrong. And then everybody says, look, Trump was wrong. Oh, so he's just covering all his bases so he doesn't look like a fool, right? You know, claiming, oh, he's got the inside link to Putin, and Putin wants to make a deal. You know, he went overboard talking about that, and now Putin is holding off, and so okay, he's got to add that just so, you know, everybody knows his read of the situation and he's not wrong later, right? It would be nice if he was a little more positive about it and infused, you know, a little more determination for peace into the mix, you know, because Putin doesn't have to lead be the one that determines the mood here, you know. But no, I guess he's got to follow his lead, or he doesn't want to like disturb him in any way, does he? Displease him in any way? I think Putin is tired of it. This is Trump speaking. I think they're all tired of it, but you never know, Trump said. He doesn't know. He's more confused than we are. We're going to find out about President Putin in the next couple weeks. Yeah, we have the luxury of weeks while people die. That I can tell you. Okay, that you can tell us. Okay, good. That's great. What would security guarantees look like? President Trump on Monday pledged very good protection for Ukraine and said that Putin said Russia would accept security guarantees for Ukraine, a key demand of Zelensky's in any peace agreement. European leaders at the White House on Monday pressed for protections similar to Article 5 mutual defense obligations under NATO. Ukraine has pushed to become a member of the alliance, which Russia and Trump have rejected. Who cares about Russia and Trump? I mean, why can't he? I mean, for all intents and purposes, he already is. And, you know, Ukraine already is a member of NATO. I mean, emotionally, figuratively, I mean, all of them are united with Ukraine. He already is a member. President Zelensky and Ukraine are already a member of NATO. Let's just make it official. I don't know, would that trigger Russia doing something? What it would do is maybe put more reinforcements on the ground to push Russia out of Ukraine. I mean, maybe that's what needs to happen. Maybe, I mean, I know I guess everybody's really scared. Oh, they're so scared of Putin. But I think Ukraine needs some help to get this aggressor out of their country. Maybe if they had a little more manpower on the ground. I mean, we don't want anyone else to lose their lives, of course, but I mean, this is unacceptable. This is an unacceptable situation, with Russia. It's not right that they have been occupying part of Ukraine since 2014, since I got married to Dean, going on 11 years. It's just not right. And how could everyone allow that to occur? How could I know Biden was funding, I guess, giving weapons to Ukraine, but it seems like they need a little more manpower to force Russia to get the hell out. They don't belong there. And it needs to be enforced. It doesn't matter if he's an official member of NATO or not. Individual countries can decide to help him, to help Ukraine. I know, but I don't want anyone else to die either. It's just not right that Russia is allowed to occupy all that land, and the longer and longer Russia occupies it, the more and more they think they own the land, which they stole, and, it's just not right. Since Monday, Trump has ruled out U.S. boots on the ground in Ukraine in a peacekeeping role. Instead, he's floated the possibility of U.S. air support for Kiev and helping Europe coordinate security guarantees. According to the White House, Trump has instructed his national security team to come up with a framework for these security guarantees that can be acceptable to help ensure a lasting peace and end this war. NATO defense officials, including U.S. military officials, held a virtual meeting on Wednesday to discuss security guarantees for Ukraine. I really get. I know this is what's her name? I'm trying to find her name. Is her name in this article? Oh, I guess it'll be under the photo, won't it be? Okay, here it is. Caroline Leavitt. I really confuse her with the attorney general. They look identical. What is the attorney general? I get them confused, and I think I'm looking at Bondi. What attorney general Bondi? Pam Bondi. Let me just see a photo. They look identical. I just want a good photo. Is this a good photo? This here's the Attorney General Bondi. Look at her, and then here is Caroline Leavitt. I mean, I don't know if I can tell them apart exactly. I mean, I guess Pam Bondi, she's got like a rounder face. But they look like identical twins to me almost. I really have a hard time telling them apart. Let me see. Let me just look at. They really look. Don't you think they are? They could be the same person. I guess Pam Bondi has a rounder face, like her. It looks like Caroline Leavitt has a more angular face, possibly. They look identical, though. Is there any photo of them standing side by side? Let me see. Bondi and Leavitt together in photo. I mean, I'd like to see them side by side. to tell them apart. Let's see, images. I don't know. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to share this tab. Okay, so these, look at how identical. Oh my God, they look like identical twins to me. Okay, let me see. We gotta like get a good, I mean, I don't want to open up a video exactly. I just want to see them side by side. These are thumbnails with them side by side. They look identical to me. I guess here they look a little different. Okay, so which one is which? Right here. This is a YouTube video, but I don't want to. Okay, here it is. Okay. See, this is the most, they look the most different here of any of the other photos. And okay, this is Bondi. Is it? And this is Levitt. I'm not even actually sure. Okay, here's one. This one, oh my goodness, I can't even tell which one is which. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Um, okay, I think this is Caroline Levitt, right? And you can see the backdrop there. She's on the podium there, you know. And this is Bondi, right? They look like identical twins. Are they identical twins? Maybe they're genetic identical twins. I cannot, it's highly unusual that I cannot tell people apart. I have a very good eye for, you know, like my husband, Dean, he's an identical twin, as am I. I look nothing, my twin and I, we don't look very much alike. We look like we're sisters. We do not look alike. Um, Dean and his twin Dennis, I've never thought they looked very much alike. It's just at one angle that they look identical. At certain angles, maybe more than one angle. It's usually it's their profile at certain angles of their profile and their shoulders. And I've done a double take occasionally, but overall, it's so easy to tell them apart. But these girls, I mean, look at them. Okay, so Catherine Levitt, she has, it looks like her chin is more pointed, whereas, okay, I was thinking Bondi had a rounder face, and Catherine Levitt, Caroline, sorry. See, I can't even get their names right. Caroline Levitt, I thought had a more angular face, but it looks like Bondi, Pam Bondi looks more angular here. And here, this is, yeah, I recognize her from the podium. This is Caroline Levitt, and this must be Bondi. And I guess I thought it was Pam Bondi who looked younger, but I guess she is slightly older. I mean, they look identical, don't they? I mean, am I the only one who thinks so? Look how similar their noses are, their mouths, eyebrows, eyes. It's unbelievable that, and nobody talks about it. Yeah, I think Caroline Levitt looks a little younger, maybe, than Pam Bondi. But they look so identical. Yeah, this is Pam Bondi, right? And you can see that. I can see the difference. See, I guess I just needed to look at a few pictures for a few. Okay, and this is Pam Bondi, right? And this is Caroline Levitt. Okay. This is Caroline Levitt. Pam Bondi. Caroline Levitt. Right. There's like, okay, so this is an angle where it's very Caroline Levitt, right? Just this, there's something in the eyes, nose, mouth there that you can see that's unique to her. And just trying to find, okay, Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi, she has there is like a difference in her nose. Does she have brown eyes instead? Let's see. Look at how much, I mean, they could be mistaken for the same person. Why doesn't anybody talk about it? Yeah, it looks like she is a little older, isn't she? And her nose is a bumpier or not as smooth or something. Wait, let's look at that. But they look at how much they look alike. I can't even get over it sometimes. Okay, so see her nose is like kind of like straighter maybe. This is Pam Bondi. Yeah, okay. And she does look a little like she might be a little older. Okay. See, now I'm getting used to. I just haven't seen them side by side. I haven't seen enough of I've seen maybe uh Caroline Levitt more than I've seen Pam Bondi. And yeah, she does have more of an angular. It's Pam Bondi that has more of an angular jaw, whereas but she has an angular jaw too. This is Pam Bondi right there. Yeah, they're both very pretty. Not, I can't deny that. Um, and this is Pam Bondi, right? Yeah, you can see the difference. She's on the podium, and you can tell the difference. She has more of an oval face, whereas um, Caroline Levitt has more of kind of a square face, right? Would you say? Oh, more of a round face, right? Yeah. Okay. See, now I've gotten it straight. I can see the difference now. I really needed to compare them to see the difference because, I mean, they really look so much alike. I bet a lot of people, I mean, I was thinking they were the same person for a while. I really was thinking, and I was thinking that Caroline Levitt was Pam Bondi up there, as the attorney general talking to the public at the podium all the time, not the press secretary. I thought it was just Pam Bondi up there answering questions. I really did. Okay, now I've straightened it out. Yeah, I've straightened it out. I can see it now. Like it just took a little moment for me to see it. Okay. Um, okay, so we're done with this. Okay, let me share this. Okay, so they had U.S. military officials held a virtual meeting today to discuss security guarantees for Ukraine. Russia, meanwhile, said any talks without them, meaning security guarantees. I guess Russia seems to think they're in danger somehow. They're the aggressor. They're the ones who invaded Ukraine, and Russia wants security guarantees. I mean, you want your cake and eat it too, don't you, Russia? Hmm. So Russia, meanwhile, said any talks without them, I guess security guarantees, are on a road to nowhere. Okay, okay. This is Russia speaking, right, Putin? or just Russia. We cannot accept the proposal to address security and collective security issues without Russia's involvement. This will not work. We have repeatedly explained that Russia does not exaggerate its interests, but we will firmly and decisively protect our legitimate interests. How are they legitimate? When you violated the law and invaded a sovereign country on your border. How are your interests at all legitimate after you do something like that? And this is Lavrov that was speaking. Russia said it, quote, has not heard any constructive ideas from European leaders on how to resolve the situation in Ukraine in the context of their visit to Washington and is witnessing an aggressive escalation of the situation. No, no, Russia. I was very pleased to see European leadership behind Ukraine. This is a threat to Europe. It's obviously the most threat to Ukraine because you're inside Ukraine and you've killed Ukrainians. But Ukraine is part of Europe. It is not part of Russia. It is part of Eastern Europe. Finland is right to the north, and there's a history. According to the gentleman who was in the European group visiting the White House on Monday, they have a history of Russia invading them. They're right up just north, on the border of Russia as well, just north of Ukraine. And Finland, I've always considered that part of Eastern Europe. I know that historically, Ukraine was part of the USSR, was one of the United Socialists, I guess Soviet Socialist Republics, united, right? But, and, think places like Poland was very nearby, right? That's Eastern Europe. But now that they're no longer in that unity with Russia in that manner, they're no longer a republic. They're part of Eastern Europe. At least that's the way I see it. They're not part of Russia. Russia has never been part of Europe. They were united with countries that were next to Europe, and now they're no longer associated with Russia. And so they've kind of become part of Eastern Europe. What else would they be? So I really, the constructive ideas that they are asking for from European leaders, the constructive idea was a ceasefire. That is very constructive for Ukraine as well as for Russia, because there are a couple Russian soldiers who get hurt and maybe get killed. I don't know that we really hear about them these days, but Russia is using weapons. It's costing money. The Russian soldiers are suffering. The Russian people are suffering. There's a lot of there's a high price for continuing this war. And how can Russia claim that a ceasefire is not a constructive idea? A constructive idea is beneficial to everyone involved. It is beneficial that Russia not kill any more innocent people in Ukraine, or put their soldiers through what they're putting them through, or put the Russian people through what they're putting them through, or use up weapons that they don't need to use up, wasting, money and resources on this war. Let's not even talk about how beneficial and constructive a ceasefire would be for Ukraine. I'm just trying to point out how Russia benefits, since Russia doesn't see the benefit or how constructive a ceasefire is. It's just shocking. Yeah, a lot like my family. Uh, Putin doesn't make any sense. He makes no logical sense. Instead, Lavrov said on Wednesday, today, Ukraine should pursue a route that includes all permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, which includes the Russian Federation and China. Okay. So they want to switch from the NATO model, right? Which is what Europe is, right? And switch to the United Nations, which is a worldwide federation that includes other parts of the world that aren't anywhere near Russia's borders. See, they're just trying, yeah, because they know that Russia would have a say, and China, they like China. They're very similar dictatorships. Yeah, well, China is not on the border. I mean, I guess it is on the other side of Russia, right? But it's not on the side where Ukraine is, and that's the point. The whole point is is the invasion of Ukraine. So the Russians are not making any sense. They're not making any logical sense. They're just trying to work around and divert the issue. What about territory sticking points? President Trump, as he gathered with Zelensky and European leaders at the White House, said they needed to, quote, discuss the possible exchanges of territory, taking into consideration the current line of contact. Yeah, I don't even know what that means. What current line of contact? You mean like Russia's illegal occupation of part of Ukraine at its border? Trump has talked about land swapping. That is such a bad word because this was not a war instigated by Ukraine. Ukraine was minding its own business. Russia wanted to steal its land. It wanted to steal the whole country if it could, probably. There shouldn't be any talk of land swapping. So he's talked about it, though, Trump. But it's unclear what Russia would offer Ukraine in return for, it says to keeping. No, it's a typo. In return for keeping some of the Ukrainian territory it gained since its invasion. That's what I was talking about. That's what I've been talking about for days. What does Ukraine get out of this? They were minding their own business, and Russia invaded them illegally. A sovereign country that is not part of Russia, doesn't want to be part of Russia, and then like they want consideration, they want security guarantees. It's like the bully, in the playground saying, "Oh, I need protection too," in case the whole schoolyard decides to retaliate against the bully who started the whole problem and created a safety problem, a security problem on the playground. It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you were so worried about security, why did you sacrifice Ukraine's security? If you don't want to be attacked, why are you attacking somebody, another country? Why? Does that make any sense? No. And it's just like my family. Yeah, they don't make any sense either. And neither does the US government in the way they treat me. And neither does SGI for that matter. It just all extends throughout society and the world. And that is what Putin is trying to, what I guess, and an extension, what Russia is trying to communicate. I don't know that all of the Russian people, like, what's his name? Lavkov? What was his name? I don't know that he's trying to make that point. He's just following what Putin told him to say, right? Lavrov. Um, since February 2022, Russia has gained about 20% of Ukraine's land. That's too much, man. That's way too much. And good, Ukraine has done a really good job, keeping them at bay, but, you know, that's too much land, way too much land that they're occupying. It should be illegal for any country to claim land that they invade. I mean, we don't live in the old world anymore. It should be illegal. No country should be allowed to keep any land or, of any country that is not their country. It should not be allowed in the world. It should be illegal. It is illegal. And why aren't we able to enforce it with Russia? What is the problem? Why can't we enforce that with Russia somehow? I know we're talking they were talking about sanctions, which Trump has all but forgotten, doesn't care about anymore because he's kissing up to Vladimir. I don't know. It's not acceptable in our civilization that, in this new world, this civilized world, it's just not acceptable. We are not barbarians. We are not cavemen. It's not all land is not up for grabs anymore. We are a civilized society. We're supposed to be. Russia is supposed to be an advanced civilization. They are supposed to be. Yes, not as advanced as the ideas in the United States. Not that the United States actually runs our country with those ideas. In actuality, they don't. They're just ideas. They're just dreams. But yeah, they haven't been implemented like the public think that they are implemented. No, they're just ideas. So, but NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, I guess Rutte, said territory swaps weren't discussed during Monday's session because that's not an acceptable solution. It's not acceptable. Okay, you're the powerful nation of Russia who is mightier and stronger than us little Ukraine. So okay, we'll bow down to you. Okay. Um Survival of the fittest. We're in the jungle. That's not the world we're supposed to live in. We're supposed to live in a civilized world. We're not barbarians. We're not in the ice age. We're not in the caveman age. We are civilized. This is a new world. This is not the way we're supposed to be conducting ourselves. We have not discussed that today, is what Root said, because everybody's clear, including the president. Well, I don't know about now, that when it comes to territory, that is the Ukrainian president who has discussed this in that is the Ukrainian president who has discussed this in the trilateral, and then probably more conversations after that with the Russian leadership, Root said. Who has discussed this? He's acting like the trilateral has already happened. I guess it's like he misspoke, or is English his second language? I don't know. Is that an American that said that? Or it's just a typo? Yeah, it's NATO's Secretary General. I don't know. Okay, NATO. He's with NATO, so maybe English is not his first language. Okay. So basically they're saying that it's the Ukrainian president who will discuss this in the trilateral with Russia, and then probably in more conversations after that, is what he was saying. Moscow has set its sights on the Donbas region, including Donetsk, which is said to be rich in mineral resources and serves as the industrial heart of Ukraine. Oh, it has set its sights on the Donbas. I don't know. Look, it's part of Ukraine. It's not open. It's not a land grab. There's not going to be any deal like that. That's what like countries did in the old world. We're not living in the old world anymore. You can't just like, okay, I want this land. Let's invade. We have a more powerful army than they have. They're a small little country. We'll get it and we'll just take what we want. I mean, how would Russia like it if somebody did that to them? What if the United States or Europe, for that matter, said, "Okay, we'd like to a little more security in Europe, so we'd like, the whole western part of Europe of Russia." Is it the west part of what Russia? Something like that, because we need a we need some cushion. We need some cushion to protect us from Russia. So let's grab the western border of Russia so we have like a little cushion and to protect us from Russia. Okay, let's invade. Let's do it. Yeah, if they did that, it would be World War III, wouldn't it? So they don't do it, they because they want to solve problems with dialogue, with negotiations. They don't want to solve it with violence like Russia did with Ukraine. And it wasn't, I mean, I know Russia is looking to make money and increase its value I mean, it's a huge, humongous, I think it has the most geographic area of any country on earth. I mean, why do they need more territory? Why? And it's just like my family. I mean, why do they do what they do to me? Why isn't what they have enough? Why do they have to be so greedy and disregard me and my life and my rights? It's the same. I think Putin is playing that role for all to see, including my family, the SGI USA, and who else? I don't know. The United States of America. Moscow, okay, I just read that. Zelensky has long opposed surrendering sovereign territory to Russia, saying the nation's constitution forbids it. Yes, rightfully so. Zelensky said Ukraine must be the decision maker regarding its territory. It's their territory. Who else would be the decision maker of Ukraine's territory? It doesn't belong to Russia. Russia has not usurped Ukraine's control. Well, I mean, it's illegally occupying Ukraine, and I don't know why there's not more consequences for Russia for doing such a thing. Russia doesn't seem at all deterred. They're just continuing on. I mean, I just wish there was some way to prevent Russia from continuing this horrible war. There has to be a way to protect Ukraine, in as peaceful a way as possible. If we had enough, I mean, I know there's a reason why nobody's on the ground helping Ukraine. I guess it would be inviting World War III, and that's what they don't want, you know? But I mean, isn't there a way to outnumber the Russian army so that they can be pushed out of Ukraine in as peaceful a way as possible? I mean, isn't that possible without, just pushing them out of where they don't belong? Isn't that possible? It just seems to me like it should be. I mean, I suppose it should have been done a long time ago. It's been, I guess, 11 years, and that's too long. I don't know why more action wasn't taken by previous administrations. I mean, I know it's way on the other side of the world for us. I just don't understand why it had to get this bad. Okay. All right, let's see what else. I have some other stories pulled up here. Yeah, this Texas thing. I guess I'll share this. This Texas redistricting. Um, oh, these are all the different things that are what to know today. Fed under fire. President Trump is all upset at the the Federal Reserve, and wow. Trump has purchased at least $103 million worth of corporate and municipal bonds since he took office in January, according to new filings from the Office of Government Ethics. Unbelievable. And and everybody thinks he's ethical. Nobody else sees any kind of conflict of interest with that. And he's just allowed to do it. I just don't understand how he's allowed to continuously overstep his boundaries as president. Do you have anything to say, Dean?
No, no.
Okay.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah, the top Federal Reserve official says she won't be bullied by Trump and Polte. I don't know if that's how that name is pronounced. It's Governor Lisa Cook, a top Fed official. She has no intention of being bullied to step down from her position because of some questions raised in a tweet. She's, I guess, gathering her information to answer any legitimate questions. And they're like trying to pressure her into resigning now, like without any kind of hearing or any other formal setting. Yeah, she's supposed to be pressured by tweet to resign. And she didn't do anything wrong since she's been in office. I mean, I guess there's some question of some paperwork she filled out to get a mortgage like 4 years ago. And she stated something, a certain house or whatever was her primary residence when it wasn't, or something. But at least that's what the information is, and she claims to have an explanation and will set the record straight to some extent. Right. She intends to take any questions about her financial history seriously as a member of the Federal Reserve. And so she is gathering the accurate information to answer any legitimate questions and provide the facts. Okay. Yeah, this Texas redistricting, I think it's really great what Gavin Newsom is doing. I think it's so great. And you know, I think it's really funny that MAGA is so appalled at his behavior, but they just are not at all appalled by Trump's behavior. And all he's doing is just mimicking Trump. I think it's hilarious. And I mean, it's time that somebody start getting animated and really putting everything in MAGA's face. I mean, I don't know that it's really. I mean, I want it to change to create real change, but I mean, we're just really in a bad situation, aren't we? I just get really sad looking at the world the way it is. Here's another Federal Reserve, right? No attention. No, she has no. This is her. This is Lisa Cook, Governor of the U.S. Federal Reserve, right here. Yeah, it's just disgusting what they're doing. They really are. It's what is that piece of paper that all the MAGA people, all the Trumpers said, "Oh, Trump, he hasn't even read it." What is that document? You remember that? He hasn't even read it, but the guy he picked to be his running mate was one of the people who helped to write it. What is it? 2025? What is it? Yeah, it was about 2025, wasn't it? It was that document that had their plans for changing the government into a Christian state or something. And everything's going precisely according to plan, the plan of that document. It so happens. What is it? What was it? Something 2025. What was it? I forget what it was called. Something 2025. Let me look it up. Christian document changing the government as we know it in 2025. Something 2025. Project 2025. Yeah. The blueprint for Christian nationalist. Yeah. Separation of church and state. This is not supposed to be a Christian nation. Yes, Christianity was the predominant religion in the US when it was founded, but it's supposed to be that it's in our Constitution, separation of church and state. It's not supposed to be a Christian nation. It's supposed to be a neutral government that manages us all, that unites us and manages our business, and helps those who can't help themselves, who don't have a family to help them, sheltered people, all these sheltered Republicans. They don't know what it's like to not be born into a family who cares about them. Just because you were born into a family who doesn't care about you doesn't mean you're worth nothing. Maybe your family is worth nothing. It's the exact opposite. At least it is in my case. All right. Here we go. Here's another thing that's in the news. Trump administration revokes security clearances of 37 current and former government officials. My goodness. This happened not so long ago. I think it happened minutes before I went on the air. Later. This is Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence. The Trump administration said Tuesday that it was revoking the security clearances of 37 current and former national security officials. Was Larry Shaw, the doctor of delusion, one of them? Because he totally violated this country's classification laws. So, he should have his revoked if it's not already revoked. And apparently he worked for the National Security Administration. So 37 current and former national security officials in the latest act of retribution targeting public servants from the federal government's intelligence community. A memo from Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, accuses the singled out individuals of having engaged in the politicization. How do you say that? Politicization. That's hard to say. Or weaponization of intelligence to advance personal or partisan goals, failing to safeguard classified information, failing to adhere to professional analytic trade craft standards, and other unspecified detrimental conduct. Boy, that fits right into what Larry Shaw did to me. I hope Larry Shaw's clearance has been totally revoked and done away with by now after what he did to me. because what he did to me was extremely detrimental. It broke the law, and it was a weaponization of intelligence. That's a good way of stating it. That is what Larry Shaw, the doctor of delusion, did. He weaponized intelligence. He falsified and weaponized that falsified intelligence when it came to me in 1975 when I was 9 years old, home alone in Old Greenwich, Connecticut. The memo did not offer evidence to back up the accusations. Many of the officials who were targeted left the government years ago after serving in both senior national security positions and lower profile roles far from the public eye. Some worked on matters that have long infuriated Trump, like the intelligence community assessment that Russia interfered in the 2016 presidential election on his behalf. Didn't they? He just wants to deny reality. And several signaled their concerns about Trump by signing a critical letter in 2019 that was highlighted on social media last month by right-wing provocateur and close Trump ally Laura Loomer. Oh, yeah. Yeah, what's going on between Trump and Laura Loomer? What are they having a little, like, it's not even an affair. It's just a really casual thing on the side, right, Trump? Yeah. That's how you like to use women like that. And Laura, she just loves it, doesn't she? The action is part of a broader Trump administration campaign to wield the levers of government against perceived adversaries and reflects the president's continued distrust of career intelligence officials he has long seen as working against his interests. Yeah, they in government, it's supposed to be neutral. You're not supposed to be an extension of the president. There are separations of powers. There's the executive branch, there's the legislative branch, and then there's the judiciary branch, right? 3 branches, and they're all separate but equal, and they all work to check the others, right? And Trump is trying to revamp it. It's in the Constitution this way, but Trump wants to revamp the Constitution and create reinvent the executive branch to be the branch in control of all the other branches, and it's disgusting. And I guess he's paid my money to all the Republicans who obey him and make him into what I guess they consider a king, but we don't have a king in this country. We have a queen, a top secret queen who will make everything right. And thank goodness you have me, because look at this tyrant. Look at how he has destroyed our country. You need me to make it right. The revocation of clearances has emerged as a go-to tactic for the administration, a strategy critics say risks chilling dissenting voices from an intelligence community accustomed to drawing on a range of viewpoints before formulating an assessment. Right. I mean, they can't do their jobs if they can't speak freely and act as the professionals they are. It's supposed to be this way, but no, Trump, narcissistic Trump, he's the dictator and he wants everyone to fall in line. And everybody is, and it's just such a shock. If the founders of our country could see this country today, I'm sure Thomas Jefferson, who I am a direct descendant of, would be so relieved that I, his descendant, is here, right now. He'd be so relieved. And he was me at one time. I know another one that was me. I do not know if I am I don't think, I think he must have been an alternate persona of mine, because I do not believe I am his reincarnation. I do not believe so. I'm thinking that he was an alternate persona of mine. I was put in his body as a young girl and grew up as him and everything. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I don't remember everything to know all the details and be sure that I'm absolutely correct. Okay, so continuing, these are unlawful and unconstitutional decisions that deviate from well-settled, decades-old laws and policies that sought to protect against just this type of action. Mark Zaid, a national security lawyer whose own clearance was revoked by the Trump administration, said in a statement. He called it hypocritical for the administration to, quote, claim these individuals politicized or weaponized intelligence, because that's what Trump does. He politicizes and he weaponizes the intelligence he receives, and that's distorting intelligence. Gabbard on Tuesday sought to defend the move, which she said had been directed by Trump. Yeah, just be his little mistress, why don't you? His little servant. Being entrusted with a security clearance is a privilege, not a right, she wrote on X. And yeah, Trump's should be taken away, ripped from him. That's right. It's not a right, it's a privilege. And he has violated that privilege again and again and again. And so have his people on an extension. Those in the intelligence community who betray their oath to the Constitution, like Trump hasn't betrayed his oath to the Constitution. I mean, if anyone has betrayed their oath to the Constitution, it's Trump, who has destroyed it, literally destroyed our Constitution and our country that is founded upon it. Those in the intelligence community and anyone who betrays their oath to the Constitution and put their own interests ahead of the American people, like Trump has, have broken the sacred trust they promised to uphold. Why do these Trump people not see the irony of that? Maybe they do, and they think they're fooling the American people, and they get off on lying and deceiving us, I guess, because she can't, I mean, is she that stupid that she can't see that that's what Trump does every day of his life? I mean, she must like get off on deceiving, breaking the law like Trump. It's just a certain mindset that it makes a Trumper, um, people who love Trump, either they don't have the mental faculties to recognize that he is corrupt, after all the evidence is put in their face, they can't see it any other way because they're missing parts of their brain, which makes them retarded. Um, I used to say maybe some people are in total denial for other reasons other than being retarded. I don't know. I really don't think anyone could be that in denial. I don't know. Or, they're in on it. They're evil. They're devils just like Trump. It's those three things, and I really don't think anyone could be that in denial and have all their faculties in, their brain. You have to be missing faculties in your brain. You have to be missing parts of your brain to not see that Donald Trump is a criminal. Always has been, always will be. If you can't see it, I at this point, maybe there was a time when we hadn't seen all that we've seen by now. And maybe there was a time when it was hard, it was possible not to believe the sources of information that claimed that Trump had violated the law in different ways over the years, right? But at this point in 2025, August 2025, if you can't begin to see the pattern of corruption, then you are missing parts of your brain. Or you're in on it and you're just like Trump. You're a devil just like Trump. It's those two people that are Trumpers. It's nobody else. You can't be, the people who were in denial, they've woken up by now. Because if they haven't, they're missing parts of their brain. They have to be. Okay. The security clearance suspension comes amid a broader effort by Gabbard and other Trump administration officials to revisit the intelligence community assessment published in 2017 on Russian election interference, including by declassifying a series of years-old documents meant to cast doubt on the legitimacy of its findings. Okay, so it's them. It was the Trump administration that declassified a series of years-old documents meant to cast doubt on the legitimacy of the intelligence community's assessment and findings. Okay. Yeah, why don't you declassify me, the Claire files, and let the American people decide who the real Trump is, and who is not really Trump. I may not have the name Trump, but I am the real Trump behind the Trump. And I Trump him. Multiple government investigations have reached the same conclusion that Russia interfered in the 2016 election in sweeping fashion, including through a hack and leak operation of Democratic emails and a social media campaign aimed at sowing discord and swaying public opinion. But Trump has long resisted the assessment that Russian President Vladimir Putin interfered in his favor, and his Justice Department has authorized a grand jury investigation that could bring fresh scrutiny to Obama-era officials. Security clearances are important not only for current government workers, but also former ones whose private sector jobs require them to retain access to sensitive information. Stripping clearances from such employees, could make it hard for them to do their jobs, though it's unclear how many of the former officials still have or require one. On his first day of office, Trump said he would revoke the security clearances of the more than 4 dozen former intelligence officials who signed a 2020 letter saying that the Hunter Biden laptop saga bore the hallmarks of a Russian information operation. Boy, he seems to be treating that like it's a Trump information operation. So anything blamed on Russia is personally offensive to him, like he's united with Russia, he's in cahoots with Russia. Seems pretty suspicious to me. Trump's also revoked the clearances of former President Joe Biden. Oh, he did, huh? I think I heard that. I had forgotten that. And former Vice President Kamala Harris. Oh my goodness. And he attempted to do the same for lawyers at the spate of prominent law firms, but was rebuffed by federal judges. Really? Why didn't the federal judges defend Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? And has he done that to Obama too? Or I'm just curious. Some of those who were targeted in the latest action were part of Biden's national security team. Many only learned of the Gabbard action from news reports Tuesday, said 2 former government officials who were on the list. Both spoke on the condition of anonymity as they ponder whether to take legal action. Yeah, has he taken away Hillary Clinton's security clearance? I mean, Bill Clinton's. I mean, I'm just curious. Is he going to take away all the security clearances from everybody in Congress that he doesn't like all the Democrats? He strips of their security clearances. I mean, what's to stop him? I mean, he has no bounds. Where does he stop with all this? So DHS security says entire southern border will be painted black to stop I don't know what. The entire southern border wall with Mexico is being painted black to stop something. All right. Well, those are the things that really caught my eye today. I don't really have much else. I think that's it. And I think I've been on for quite a while. Let's see. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, I've been on for, an hour and 22 minutes. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I have to stop sharing. Yeah, I guess that's all I want to say. I mean, the state of our world is just in chaos. And I don't understand the reason for this and why it is this way and why it has to be this way. I feel powerless to do anything. Trying to rack my brain how to make money, how can I make some money, how can I improve my life? I need to make money to improve my life, or you could just give me my money, US government. I mean, I haven't raided your bank account. Why do you get to raid mine? Why do others get to access my money and spend it on my behalf and distribute it to people who get to spend it on their own behalf? Why is that allowed? But I can't access my own money and have a life, and I'm forced to live in poverty. If I were to go on with my life and do something else, I know I would forfeit my right to my money and my life, and that's why I'm such a stickler on this. I just want my life, and I want it now. I demand it now. Give me my life now. And then maybe we could have a better world and a better life as a country. All right, I don't have any more to say. If you can handle the truth, please subscribe if you haven't already, and give me a thumbs up because if anyone deserves it, it's me. Have a good one. Peace out.